Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. What I'm about to share was never supposed to leave the classified archives.
Go!
But some
They're
truths
right
refuse to
behind
stay
us!
buried.
Keep moving!
My name is Lieutenant James Cordell. What happened to my unit in the Philippine jungle in December 1942 was officially recorded as a combat loss to Japanese forces. That's a lie. We never saw a single Japanese soldier. What hunted us in that jungle was something far older, something that should have remained legend. The mission brief came down on December 8, 1942, exactly 1 year after Pearl Harbor. Our 12-man Marine reconnaissance unit was tasked with penetrating deep into the Luzon interior, gathering intelligence on reported Japanese fortifications near the village of San Teodoro. Standard operation. We'd done a dozen like it. I can still smell the briefing room. Salt air mixing with cigarette smoke and mildew. Major Hutchins stood before a map dotted with red marks, his pointer tapping against the paper with mechanical precision. Gentlemen, this is reconnaissance only. You go in quiet, observe, report back. Intel suggests the Japanese have established a supply depot here. He circled a region dense with topographic lines. Local resistance has gone silent. We need eyes on the ground. Sergeant Mike Rourke sat beside me, cleaning his knife with methodical scrapes that filled the silence between the major's words. He'd been in the Philippines since '41. He knew the terrain, spoke passable Tagalog, and had that 1,000-yard stare that came from seeing too much. Sir, Rourke said without looking up, that area has been dark for 6 weeks. No radio contact, no runner reports. The guerrillas won't go near it, which is exactly why we need confirmation, Sergeant. Rourke's jaw tightened, but he nodded. The rest of the unit was solid, hand-picked veterans. Corporal Danny Chun, our radio man, barely 20, but sharp as they come. Private First Class Rodriguez, our medic, who could stitch a wound while under fire without his hands shaking. 8 others, all tested, all trusted. We loaded into transport trucks at 0400 hours. The jungle was a wall of black beyond the perimeter lights. I remember the mosquitoes, clouds of them attracted to our sweat, and the diesel fumes. The air was thick, wet, like breathing through a warm towel. You ever hear the stories, LT? Private Kowalski asked as we rolled toward the drop point. He was young, still had that nervous energy that hadn't been beaten out of him yet. What stories, Private? About the things that live in the jungle. The locals, they don't talk about them. Not directly. But I've heard. Shut Kowalski, Rourke cut in. Superstition and ghost stories. We've got real enemies to worry about. But I saw something in Rourke's eyes. Something that looked like recognition. We inserted at first light. 12 men melting into green shadows. The jungle swallowed sound. Radio chatter, footsteps. Even our breathing seemed muffled. The canopy blocked the sky, filtering sunlight into underwater dimness. Vines thick as arms hung everywhere. The ground was spongy, covered in rotting vegetation that released gases when stepped on, sulfurous burps that made your eyes water. By noon, we'd covered 8 clicks. No signs of Japanese activity. No signs of anything. Quiet, Chin whispered, adjusting his radio pack. Too quiet. He was right. No birds. No insects. The jungle is never silent. It's a cacophony of life. Screeching, buzzing, rustling. This was a soundless void. We found the first village at 1,400 hours. San Miguel. Population, maybe 200 according to our maps. We approached with weapons ready, spreading into tactical formation. Rourke raised his fist. Halt! We froze. The village was empty, not evacuated, abandoned mid-moment. Cooking fires had burned down to ash. A pot of rice sat congealed beside one hut. Children's toys lay scattered in the dirt. Carved wooden figures, a rag doll with button eyes, staring at nothing. But what stopped us cold were the warnings. Every entrance to the village was marked. Crosses made from tied bamboo, hanging upside down. Small cloth bags filled with salt and what looked like herbs, strung on twine. And symbols, painted in something dark and rust-colored on doorframes and walls. Angular, sharp designs that hurt to look at. Protective wards, Rourke said quietly. He was staring at the symbols with an expression I'd never seen on him before. Fear. Against what? I asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the center of the village where a larger structure stood, maybe a church or a community hall. The door hung open. Claw marks gouged the wood, deep parallel grooves that went through the grain. For lines, impossibly deep, Rodriguez knelt, examining the ground. Lieutenant, blood trail, multiple sources, leads into the jungle. Not toward the jungle. Into it, as if people had been dragged. How old? I asked. Week. Maybe 10 days. I keyed my radio. Command, this is Cordell. Village San Miguel is abandoned. Signs of violence. No Japanese presence. Request further orders. Static. Then, proceed to primary objective. Maintain radio schedule. Command out. We moved through the village slowly. Every hut told the same story. Sudden departure, violence, terror. In one, I found a child's drawing on the wall. Stick figures holding hands. And above them, something else. A figure with 2 long limbs and a distended body. Wings. The child had drawn it in black ash, over and over, covering the entire wall. We should leave, Chin said. This place, something's wrong. We have our orders, I replied, but my voice sounded hollow even to me. As we left San Miguel, the sun was dropping toward the horizon. The jungle shadows grew longer, deeper, and for the first time, I felt it, the sensation of being watched. Not by human eyes. Part 2. First night, target, 975 words. We established camp 3 clicks northeast of San Miguel, on high ground with clear sight lines. Standard defensive perimeter. 2-man watches rotating every 2 hours. Fire discipline. No flames after dark. We ate cold rations and spoke in whispers. The jungle came alive at dusk, not with natural sounds. This was different, a symphony of wrong notes. Clicking that echoed from no identifiable source. Rustling that moved in circles around our position, never coming closer, never retreating. Rourke sat beside me during first watch, his rifle across his knees. The darkness was absolute. Our night vision was useless under the canopy. No ambient light to amplify. 20 years ago, Rourke said quietly, I would have laughed at what I'm about to tell you. Then, don't tell me, Sergeant. You need to know. He paused. The locals have a word, a swang. It's not one thing, it's a category. Shapeshifters, corpse eaters, things that were human once, or look human until they're not. Folklore, maybe. But every culture in these islands has versions of the same story. Something that hunts at night. Something that mimics voices. Something that separates you from the group and... He stopped. And what? Hollows you out. Leaves the skin intact, but everything inside gone. Consumed. I wanted to dismiss it. I wanted to tell him he'd been in the heat too long. But I remembered those claw marks. The protective symbols. The terror-frozen village. You think that's what happened to San Miguel? Rourke looked at me with dead serious eyes. I think something did, and I think it's still here. At 2,300 hours, Kowalski woke me for third watch. His hand was shaking. Sir, you need to hear this. Chin was crouched by his radio, headset pressed to his ear. His face was pale even in the darkness. What is it? Transmission, sir. Not ours. Not Japanese frequency either. He handed me the headset. At first, static. Then, underneath, something else. A voice. Female. Singing. The melody was beautiful. Haunting and sweet. Rising and falling with unnatural smoothness. But the words were wrong. They sounded like Tagalog, but distorted. Stretched. Like a recording played at the wrong speed. Where is it coming from? I asked. Chin shook his head. Everywhere. It's not directional. He struggled for words. It's in the air. The singing stopped. For 5 seconds, nothing. Then a new sound replaced it. Breathing. Heavy, wet breathing. Close to the microphone. No, close to us. As if whatever was transmitting was standing just outside our perimeter. Then it spoke. James. My name. In my mother's voice. I ripped the headset off. Kill that radio. Now. Chin shut it down, hands fumbling with switches. The silence that followed was worse than the transmission. "That's impossible," Rodriguez whispered. "That's impossible." "Everyone up," I ordered. "Full alert. Weapons ready." The unit assembled in minutes, forming a tight circle facing outward. 12 rifles pointing at 12 sectors of absolute darkness. And we waited. The clicking started at midnight. Rhythmic, deliberate, like fingernails tapping on wood, but louder, coming from the canopy above us, moving branch to branch in a circuit around our position. Fast. Too fast. "Contact 12 o'clock," someone called. I swung my rifle toward the indicated direction. Nothing. Just black vegetation. "There. 9 o'clock." Again, nothing visible. But the clicking continued, now from multiple directions, surrounding us. "Hold fire," I ordered. "Don't waste ammunition on shadows." Then Kowalski screamed. Not a yell of surprise. A scream of absolute primal terror. He was pointing up, rifle shaking in his hands. I followed his aim, and I saw it, hanging upside down from a branch 20 feet up, clinging with hands. No, not hands. The proportions were wrong. 2 long fingers ending in curved talons that dug into the bark. The body was twisted, spine curved backward in a way that would snap a human in half. But the worst part was the face. It was almost human. Almost. The features were there, eyes, nose, mouth. But the skin was gray slick, stretched too tight over the skull. The eyes reflected our flashlight beams with a red-yellow shine, like an animal's. And the mouth split too wide, unhinging at the jaw to reveal rows of needle teeth. It was smiling at us. "Light it up!" Rourke roared. The jungle erupted with gunfire. Muzzle flashes strode the darkness. I emptied half a magazine into the creature, saw rounds impact, saw black fluid spray. It shrieked, a sound that vibrated in your chest like a physical force, and launched itself backward into the canopy. "Gone. Cease fire. Cease fire." I shouted. The echoes faded. Smoke hung in the humid air. Everyone was breathing hard, scanning the darkness. "Did we get it?" Chin asked. "Negative," Rourke said. He was shining his light on the branch where it had been. The bark was torn, and there was liquid, thick and dark, smelling like rotten meat. But not blood, not really. And all around us, in the darkness beyond our lights, the clicking intensified. Not one source now. Dozens. "They're everywhere," Rodriguez said, his voice breaking. "Oh, God, they're everywhere." I keyed my radio. "Command, this is Cordell. We are under attack by unknown hostiles. Request immediate extraction." "Repeat, immediate extraction." "Static. Command, you copy? We need evac now." More static. Then, barely audible beneath it, that singing again, and my mother's voice whisper my name. The radio went dead. We were alone. Part 3. Systematic hunting. Target. 975 words. We abandoned the camp. No choice. Staying in one position meant death. We moved in formation, backs to each other, sweeping lights and rifle barrels through the suffocating darkness. Every shadow was a threat. Every sound a potential attack. The creatures followed. Not chasing, stalking. We could hear them pacing us through the canopy, matching our speed exactly. The clicking had evolved into a language. Short bursts answered by longer sequences. Communication. Coordination. "They're hurting us," Rourke said, driving us away from the extraction point. He was right. Every time we tried to adjust course westward, the clicking would intensify in that direction, forcing us to veer away. We were being pushed deeper into the jungle, further from any hope of rescue. Private Marcus was the first to die. It happened so fast. One moment he was on our left flank, the next gone. Not grabbed, not dragged, simply absent. His rifle clattered to ground. We spun, light sweeping. "Marcus, sound off." I yelled, "Silence." Then from above, a wet tearing sound. Something warm splashed across my face. I looked up. Marcus hung 15 feet overhead, suspended by his ankles. His body swayed gently. His chest was open. Everything inside was missing. Ribs spread like wings, the cavity completely hollow. His face was frozen in a silent scream, eyes wide and glassy. And behind him, clinging to the trunk, was the Aswang, crouched like a gargoyle. Its mouth was smeared with dark fluid. It was eating, feeding. It locked eyes with me, and it smiled. Run. Rourke roared. We ran. Discipline shattered. We crashed through the undergrowth like panicked animals. Branches lashed our faces. Vines grabbed our ankles. Behind us, that shrieking, multiple voices now converging. Chun tripped, went down hard. Rodriguez grabbed him, hauled him up. Move, move, move. I don't know how long we ran. Time became meaningless. All that existed was the next step, the next breath, the burning in your lungs and the terror in your spine. We burst into a clearing, a small gap in the canopy where moonlight actually penetrated. We collapsed, gasping, checking our count. 11. We were 11 now. Defensive circle. I managed between breaths. Watched the trees. We formed up, but everyone's hands were shaking. Kowalski was crying silently, tears streaming down his face. Rodriguez was praying in Spanish, rapid-fire whispers. Chun kept trying his radio, twisting dials frantically. It's jammed, he said. Every frequency. Just that singing. Then shut off. I ordered. Save the batteries. The clearing felt like a gift. Open space. Visibility. But as my heartbeat slowed and my thinking cleared, I realized a trap. They gave us this, Rourke said quietly, reading my thoughts. They let us find this clearing. He was right. We'd been driven here. And now we were in the open, exposed. The clicking started again, circling the clearing's perimeter. I counted 6 distinct sources. No, 8, 10, more. They were gathering. Contact, someone screamed. They came from every direction at once, not running, leaping, launching themselves from the tree-line in long, arcing jumps that covered impossible distances. Their movement was wrong, joints bending backward, spines twisting midair. They hit the ground on all fours, then rose up on 2 legs, bodies elongating. We fired. The clearing lit up with muzzle flash. I saw one go down, head exploding in a spray of black ichor, but the others kept coming. Private Daniels died when one landed on his back. Its mouth opened impossibly wide and clamped onto his shoulder. The crunch of bone was audible even over the gunfire. It wrenched its head back and tore away a chunk of flesh the size of a football. Daniels collapsed, arterial spray painting the grass. Rodriguez shot the creature point blank. It staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it dropped to all fours and scattered into the darkness with unnatural speed. They're testing us. Rourke shouted, probing our defenses. Another leaped. Chin fired, missed. The creature hit him like a cannonball, both of them tumbling. I saw its talons sink into his chest. Chin screamed, a sound I'll hear until I die. The creature's proboscis-like tongue extended from its mouth, a prehensile appendage that punched through Chen's sternum with a wet cracking sound. It was feeding, while he was still alive. I emptied my magazine into it. The creature released Chun and bounded away, shrieking. Chun lay convulsing, his chest a ruined crater. Rodriguez scrambled to him, but it was too late. Chen's eyes glazed over, his final breath bubbling through the hole in his chest. 9. We were 9. The creatures retreated to the tree-line. We could see their eyes now, dozens of reflective orbs surrounding the clearing, watching, waiting. Why aren't they finishing us? Kowalski whispered. Rourke's face was grim. Because they're not hungry anymore. They're playing. As if in response, one of the creatures stood, fully upright. It was over 7 feet tall, its body emaciated and gray, its head tilted at a sickening angle, studying us. Then it spoke, not in a mimic voice, in perfect English, with Chen's voice. Command, this is Cordell. We are under attack by unknown hostiles. Chen's last transmission, perfectly replicated. The creature's mouth moved, lips forming words it couldn't possibly understand, mocking us. Then another voice. Marcus, they're everywhere. Oh, God, they're everywhere. They were using our dead against us. Kowalski lost it. He stood up, screaming, firing wildly into the treeline. "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Get down!" I yelled, but the creatures were already moving. 3 of them rushed Kowalski from different angles. He managed to hit one, but the other 2 reached him. They didn't kill him fast. They pulled him apart. Arms first, then legs. His screaming lasted far too long. 8. We were 8, and dawn was still 4 hours away. Part 4. Psychological Warfare. Target. 975 words. We fled the clearing. No strategy now. Pure survival instinct. The jungle was a maze of black vegetation and false paths. We stumbled through it like blind men, our flashlights carving weak tunnels in the darkness. The creatures didn't chase. They didn't need to. They knew where we were. They knew where we were going. They were in control. We found a ravine, a natural trench carved by ancient water flow. Steep walls on both sides. One way in, one way out. Tactically stupid. But we were beyond tactics. We were exhausted, bleeding, broken. "Here," Rourke said, "we make our stand here." We collapsed into the ravine, positioning ourselves along the walls. 8 rifles, maybe 300 rounds total, against an unknown number of creatures that had already demonstrated they could coordinate, strategize, and kill with terrifying efficiency. Private Wilson was checking his ammunition when he froze. "Sir, do you smell that?" I did. Perfume, jasmine and vanilla, sweet and completely out of place. That's my wife's perfume," Wilson said, his voice cracking. "That's Sarah's perfume." Then we heard her voice, calling from the darkness beyond the ravine. "Tom? Tom, baby, where are you? I'm scared. Please help me." Wilson's face went white. "Sarah?" He stood up, rifle lowering. "Sarah, is that you?" "Don't." Rourke grabbed his arm. "That's not her. That's not human. Tom, please. They hurt me. I need you. Please come find me." The voice was perfect. Every inflection, every emotional tremor. Wilson was shaking, tears streaming down his face. "It's not real," I said firmly. "Wilson, that is not your wife." "Tom, why won't you help me? Don't you love me anymore?" Wilson wrenched free from Rourke's grip. "I'm coming, baby. I'm coming." He ran toward the voice, into the darkness. We screamed for him to stop, but he was beyond reason, beyond sanity. His screaming started 3 seconds later and lasted 15 seconds. Then silence. 7. "They're in our heads," Rodriguez whispered. He was clutching his rosary so tight his knuckles were white. "They know us. They know what we love." The psychological assault intensified. From the darkness, we heard voices. My father's gruff tone, calling me a coward. Kowalski's mother, weeping, asking why he'd left her. Rourke's drill instructor, screaming orders. Every voice perfect. Every word designed to wound. And underneath it all, that singing. The female voice, beautiful and horrible, weaving through the other sounds like a thread through fabric. "They're trying to break us," I said. "Separate us. Don't listen. Focus on what's real." But what was real? The darkness was absolute. The voices were everywhere. Our own minds were turning against us. Private Jackson stood up suddenly. "I know what this is. This is hell. We died. We're in hell." "Sit down, Jackson," Rourke ordered. No. This is punishment. For our sins. For the things we've done." He was laughing now, a high hysterical sound. "We're already dead. We're already dead." He turned his rifle, put the barrel under his chin. I lunged for him, but I was too slow. The gunshot was deafening in the confined space. Jackson's body crumpled, the back of his head gone. 6. "Jesus Christ," Rodriguez sobbed. "Jesus Christ, save us." The creatures appeared at the top of the ravine. All of them, a dozen or more, crouched along the edge, silhouetted against a slightly lighter sky, watching us. They'd stopped hunting. Now they were spectating. One of them, larger than the others, descended the ravine wall, not climbing, crawling, head first, defying gravity. Its limbs moved in a spider-like scuttle, joints bending in ways that made your eyes hurt to track. It reached the bottom and stood In the dim light, I could see details I wish I'd never witnessed. Its skin wasn't just gray. It was translucent in places. You could see the darker shapes of organs underneath, pulsing and moving. Its rib cage was visible through the flesh, expanding and contracting with each breath. But the face was almost beautiful. Feminine features, delicate bone structure. For a moment, it looked like a woman. Then the jaw unhinged, the mouth opening wider than any human could achieve, and the illusion shattered. It spoke with my mother's voice again. "Jamie, baby, why are you being so difficult? These nice gentlemen just want to help you. Don't want to come home." My hands tighten on my rifle. "You're not her." "Of course I'm your mother. Who else would I be?" The creature tilted its head. "You always were stubborn, just like your father. God rest his soul. My father had died 3 months ago. I'd gotten the telegram in October. There's no way this creature could know that. Unless you're reading me," I said slowly, "reading my thoughts, my memories." The creature smiled. Its teeth glinted in the darkness. "We know everything you love, everything you fear, everything you are, and we will use it all." It turned its attention to Rodriguez. When it spoke again, it was in a child's voice. A little girl. "Poppy? Poppy, I'm cold. Why did you leave me? You promised you'd come back." Rodriguez made a sound like a wounded animal. "No, no, Isabella, no. I waited for you, Poppy, every day, but you never came. And then I got sick. Remember? I called for you. I needed you. Where were you, Poppy?" Rodriguez was openly weeping now. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I tried to get home." "Liar." The creature's voice turned cold. "You chose war over me, and I died alone, in pain, calling your name. Shut up." Rodriguez raised his rifle. The creature laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Then it turned and crawled back up the ravine wall, rejoining its fellows. They were breaking us systematically, efficiently, and dawn was still 3 hours away. Part 5. The horror escalates. Target 975 words. The creatures had stopped mimicking voices. Now they were showing us things. Rodriguez saw it first. He was staring at the ravine wall when his body went rigid. "No," he whispered. "No, that's not real." "What?" I demanded. "What do you see?" "My daughter, she's on the wall. She's crawling toward me. She's sick. Her skin is." He broke off, gagging. I looked at the wall. I saw nothing but dirt and roots. But Rodriguez was transfixed, his eyes tracking something invisible. "It's not there," Rourke said. "Rodriguez, it's in your head." But Rodriguez wasn't listening. He was reaching out, touching the air. "Isabella, baby, let me help you." "Let me." His hand touched the ravine wall. Instantly, his expression changed from desperate love to absolute horror. He jerked his hand back, staring at it. His fingers were bleeding. Deep gouges that looked like claw marks had appeared spontaneously on his skin. "They can make us hurt ourselves." I realized they can make us see things and react to them physically. "We need to move," Rourke said. "Now, before we all start seeing things." But it was too late for Private Mills. He'd gone silent 5 minutes ago, staring at nothing. Now he spoke in a monotone. "They're beautiful. Why did anyone tell me they were beautiful?" "Mills, look at me," I ordered. His head turned, but his eyes didn't focus. "The lights. Can't you see the lights? They're showing me things. My future, my past, everything happening at once. Snap out of it. I understand now. They're not evil. They're perfect. They're showing me how to be perfect too." He smiled. "I just have to let go. Just have to open up." He unbuttoned his jacket, then his shirt, exposing his chest to the cold air. "Mills, stop. It doesn't hurt. They promised it wouldn't hurt." He took his knife from his belt. "I just need to open the door. Let them in." He placed the blade against his sternum. Rourke shot him. Mercy kill. Mills dropped without a sound. 5. "They're not just reading our thoughts anymore," Rourke said. "They're rewriting them, changing what we perceive as real." I felt it then. a pressure behind my eyes, like something trying to push into my skull. I shook my head violently, trying to clear it, but the pressure intensified. And then I saw her, my mother, standing at the edge of the ravine. She looked exactly as I remembered. Gray hair, kind eyes, the blue dress she wore to church. She was smiling at me. "Jamie, honey, you look so tired. Why don't you come home? I've made your favorite dinner. Pot roast with those little potatoes you like." Every detail was perfect. The way she stood, slightly favoring her left leg because of her arthritis. The silver cross she always wore. Even her voice had that slight rasp from years of smoking. "You're not real," I said, but my voice shook. "Of course I'm real, baby. Who else would I be?" She extended her hand. "Come on now. Don't make your mother wait." I felt myself standing, felt my legs moving toward her. Part of my brain was screaming that this was wrong, that I needed to stop, but a larger part, the exhausted, terrified part, just wanted the nightmare to end. Rourke tackled me. We hit the ground hard, his weight knocking the air from my lungs. "Snap out of it," he roared, slapping my face. "She's not there." The hallucination shattered. My mother's form flickered, and for one terrible instant, I saw what was really there. The creature, crouched where my mother had stood, its mouth open wide, that proboscis tongue extended and dripping, waiting for me. I scrambled backward, gasping. How are you not seeing them?" Rourke's face was grim. "I am, every second. My wife, my kids, everyone I've lost. But I've seen too much death to believe in easy resurrections." He pulled me to my feet. We need to keep each other grounded, check each other's reality. But we were running out of reality to check. Private Larson started laughing. Not hysterical laughter, genuine amusement. "They just told me a joke," he said between chuckles. "Oh man, that's funny. Hey, did you guys know they have a sense of humor?" "Larson, there's nothing funny happening right now," I said. "Sure there is. Everything's funny when you understand the punchline." He looked at me with eyes that didn't quite focus right. "The punchline is us. We're the joke. Humans thinking they're apex predators. That's hilarious." He walked toward the ravine wall, started climbing it, just walked up the vertical surface like it was horizontal ground, his body parallel to the dirt, except he wasn't. He was climbing normally, but his mind was telling him he was walking on flat ground. We watched in horror as he reached the top of the ravine and stepped off the edge, which to him looked like more level ground. He fell 15 feet. His neck snapped on impact. 4. The creatures began descending into the ravine. All of them, surrounding us. Close enough now that we could smell them, rot and copper and something sickly sweet. They move in that horrible scuttling gait, circling us like sharks. "Back to back," Rourke ordered. "Fire on my mark." We formed up, the last 4 Marines of a 12-man unit. We raised our rifles, but our hands were shaking. Our minds were fragmenting. The pressure behind my eyes was building again, and I could feel my perception of reality starting to slip. One of the creatures reached out with an elongated finger and touched Private Garrett's boot. Just a light tap. Garrett looked down and started screaming like his soul was being torn out through his throat. He looked at us, eyes wide with incomprehensible terror, and shrieked, "It's inside me! It's inside me!" He fired his rifle into his own stomach. Again, until the magazine was empty and his intestines were spilling onto the ground. 3. The creatures were laughing. That same glass-breaking sound. They were enjoying this. We were entertainment. Dawn was still 2 hours away. Part 6. Descent and Revelation. Target. 975 words. Rourke grabbed my collar, pulling me close so our foreheads touched. "Listen to me. The only way we survive is if we stop thinking like prey." "What?" My mind was fracturing. The pressure behind my eyes was constant now. They feed on fear. They're evolved for it. Every response we've had, running, panicking, shooting, it's what they want. We're playing their game. What do you suggest? I could barely form words. We go toward them, into them, break the pattern. He was insane. The stress had finally cracked him. But looking into his eyes, I saw something else. Clarity. Desperate. Suicide mission clarity. You're serious. We're dead anyway, LT. At least this way we die on our terms. The remaining private, Henderson, was on his knees, whispering prayers. The creatures closed within 10 feet, forming a complete circle. Their clicking had become synchronized, a single unified rhythm that resonated in your bones. Rourke stood, dropped his rifle. "HEY," he roared. "You want us? Come get US." The creatures stopped moving, stopped clicking. For the first time since this nightmare began, they seemed surprised. Rourke pulled a grenade from his belt, pulled the pin, held it up so they could see. 4-second fuse. I can count to 4. Can you back away in 4 seconds? He was bluffing. Had to be. The grenade would kill all of us in this confined space. The creatures retreated. Just a few feet, but it was movement, defensive movement. They understand self-sacrifice, Rourke said quietly. They understand that we can take them with us. That scares them. Or it excites them, I said. The largest creature, the one that had spoken in my mother's voice, came forward, separated from the others. It stood upright, its full 7-foot height towering over us. When it spoke, it used its own voice. Not mimicry, a real voice. Feminine but wrong, like wind through hollow tubes. You interest us. Words. Real communication. Most prey breaks faster, it continued. Most meat things lose their minds in the first culling. But you, its head tilted in that sickening way. You resist. You understand you're dying, but you won't accept it. This is rare. What are you? I asked. Old. Older than your words for us. We were here before your kind crawled from the ocean. We'll be here long after you're gone. The Japanese. The villagers. How many have you killed? The creature made a sound that might have been laughter. Killed? We don't kill. We consume. We process. We recycle organic material into more useful forms. The Japanese meat things fled. Smart. The village meat things try to ward us with old symbols. Useless. Belief only works if we believe too. It moved closer. I could see the pulsing of its organs through the translucent skin. Something that might have been a heart, but with too many chambers. Lungs that inflated sideways. Your war is meaningless to us, it said. Your flags, your ideologies, your human concerns. You're just food that learned to make noise. But you three, it gestured at us with those 2 long fingers. You're interesting food, so we'll offer you a choice. What choice? Henderson asked, his voice breaking. One of you can leave. Walk away. Survive. Tell your story. Warn your species that there are older things in this world than their weapons can harm. Things that own the night. The other two. Its mouth stretched into that horrific smile. Feed us. Go to hell, Rourke said. Hell is a human concept. We're much older than hell. The creature's eyes, black and reflective, studied each of us. Choose, or we choose for you. Henderson stood suddenly. Me. I'll go. Let me leave. Henderson, don't. I started. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, but I can't die here. I can't. He was backing toward the ravine entrance. They said one can leave. I'm taking the offer. The creatures parted, creating a path. Henderson ran for it. He made it 20 feet before the screaming started. We couldn't see what was happening. He'd rounded the bend, but the sounds told the story. Tearing, crunching, wet ripping that went on far too long. The large creature's smile widened. Did we say that one could leave unharmed? We lied. Deception is also older than hell. 2. Rourke looked at me. In his eyes, I saw a calculation. He was planning something. The grenade in his hand, pin already pulled, was counting down in his mind. LT, he said quietly. When I move, you run. Don't argue. Don't hesitate. Just run. Rourke. That's an order, sir. He smiled. Besides, I've been dead since my family got taken by typhoid in 38. I'm just catching up to them. Before I could respond, he charged, directly at the largest creature. The grenade held high. For the core, he roared. The creatures scattered. Rourke tackled the large one, wrapping his arms around it. The creature shrieked, a sound of genuine fear. They understood what was about to happen. Run! Rourke screamed at me. I ran, legs pumping, heart hammering. Behind me, Rourke's voice, calm now. 1, 2, 3, 4. The explosion was deafening. The shock wave threw me forward. I hit the ground and rolled, ears ringing. When I looked back, the ravine entrance was a smoking crater. Body parts, both human and creature, were scattered across the rocks. The smell of burned meat and chemicals choked the air. The creatures that survived were retreating. For the first time, they were running, actually fleeing. Rourke had hurt them, proven they could be hurt. But I was alone now, the sole survivor. And dawn was still an hour away. The longest hour of my life was about to begin. Part 7. The final hunt target, 975 words. I ran through the jungle with no direction except away. The explosion had scattered the creatures, but I could already hear them regrouping. The clicking was different now. Faster, angry. They'd lost one of their own. I'd seen the creature's body in the crater, split open, leaking that black ichor. They could die. That knowledge was both hope and terror. If they could die, they could fear death. And fearful predators were the most dangerous. The jungle was beginning to lighten. Not true dawn yet, but that deep blue pre-dawn glow filtering through the canopy. I could see shapes now instead of just blackness. Trees, vines, the rough outline of the terrain. I could also see them. They weren't hiding anymore. A dozen creatures moving through the branches above me, pacing me, some on all fours, others upright. One was crawling along a branch upside down, its spine bent backward, keeping pace effortlessly. They could take me any time. I knew that, but they weren't. This was personal now. They wanted me to suffer first. I stumbled into a clearing, a small break where a tree had fallen, creating a gap in the canopy. Real moonlight poured through. For the first time in hours, I could see the sky, stars, the moon, things that existed beyond this nightmare. I collapsed against a fallen tree, gasping. My rifle was almost out of ammunition, maybe 20 rounds. My sidearm had 1 magazine. After that, I'd be reduced to my knife. The creatures formed a circle around the clearing, standing at the tree lean, watching, waiting. The large one was gone, killed in Rourke's explosion, but another had taken its place. Bigger, older looking. Its skin was darker, more weathered. Scars crossed its body in geometric patterns. This one had survived for a long time. It stepped into the clearing, stood in the moonlight. When it spoke, it didn't use a mimicked voice. This was its own, deep and resonant and utterly inhuman. You burned our elder, our teacher, the one who had lived for 300 years. 300 years. This thing had been hunting in these jungles since before America was a nation. She will be missed, it continued, but also celebrated. She died feeding, the best death for our kind. Its head tilted. You've earned respect, meat thing. Few prey ever hurt us. Fewer kill us. So we offer you understanding before you become sustenance. I don't want understanding. I want to live. Life, death, these are temporary states. Matter and energy converted between forms. You fear death because you believe it's an ending, but nothing ends. You'll become part of us. Your thoughts, your memories, your essence, all absorbed, preserved. In a way, you'll live forever. It moved closer. I raised my rifle, but my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't aim. You think we're monsters, it said, but we're necessary. We recycle the old, the weak, the lost. We've culled human populations for millennia, keeping your species strong. Every culture has legends of us because every culture has experienced us. We're woven into your mythology, your nightmares, your subconscious, your predators, killers. So are you. Your kind kills each other in numbers we could never match. Your war, the one raging across this planet right now, will claim millions. We're selective, precise. We take only what we need. Can your species say the same? It was right, and that made it worse. But tonight, it continued, We've taken more than we needed because you angered us, because you defied us, because you refused to accept your place in the food chain. That was foolish, but also admirable. The sky was getting lighter. I could see the horizon now, beyond the trees, pink and orange bleeding into deep blue. Dawn comes, the creature said, and with it, our retreat. We prefer the darkness, though light doesn't harm us, as your stories claim. We simply hunt better in the dark, so we'll finish this quickly. The other creatures moved into the clearing, a dozen of them, forming a tightening circle. I stood back against a fallen tree. Rifle up. Come on, then. I shouted. Come on. They charged. I fired. One went down, skull exploding. I fired again. Missed. Again. Hit another in the chest. Black blood sprayed. They were so fast, closing the distance in seconds. 10 feet. 5. I emptied the magazine, dropped the rifle, drew my sidearm, fired until the slide locked back. 2 more creatures down, but there were still 7. Too many. One leaped. I ducked. It sailed over me, talons missing my head by inches. Another came from the side. I stabbed with my knife. Hit something. It shrieked and retreated, but another grabbed my arm. Its talons sank into my flesh like hooks. I felt bones crack. This was it. This was how I died. Then light. Real light. The sun breaking over the horizon. Golden beams lancing through the canopy. The creatures hissed and recoiled. Not in pain, but in instinct. Ancient programming that said, light means exposure. Exposure means vulnerability. They released me, retreated toward the shadows. The scarred leader stared at me with those black eyes. You survived, meat thing, by accident of timing. But understand, we'll remember you, your scent, your essence. And if you ever return to these jungles, it smiled that horrible smile. We'll be waiting. They vanished. One moment they were there, the next gone, melted into the shadows like they'd never existed. I collapsed. The adrenaline drained away, leaving only pain and exhaustion. My arm hung useless, blood dripping from the talon wounds. But I was alive. I staggered through the jungle for 6 hours before Marine Patrol found me. I was delirious, barely conscious. They said I kept repeating 2 words over and over. They're real. They're real. Part 8. Aftermath and warning. Target. 975 words. The debriefing took place in a hospital tent at the base camp. 3 officers sat across from me, their faces skeptical and impatient. I was still bandaged, my arm in a sling. The infection from the talon wounds had nearly killed me. The medics said they'd never seen anything like it, venom that caused localized necrosis and fever hallucinations. But I wasn't hallucinating. Let me understand this correctly, Lieutenant, the colonel said, tapping his pen against his notepad. You're claiming your entire unit was wiped out by... what exactly? Native creatures? Some kind of jungle predator? Not predators, sir. A swang. That's what the locals call them. They're intelligent. They coordinate. They hunt in packs and use. Psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. The major to his left scoffed. Son, you were in that jungle for 3 days with minimal rations, under extreme stress, after losing your unit. The mind does strange things under those conditions. My men didn't imagine their deaths, sir. They didn't hallucinate being torn apart. No one's saying they didn't die, Lieutenant. We're questioning your interpretation of events. The colonel leaned forward. The most likely explanation is an ambush by Japanese forces, possibly using unconventional tactics. The psychological warfare you described, the voices, the manipulation, could be explained by enemy broadcasts, hidden speakers, chemical agents. Then explain the bodies we recovered. I pointed to the report folder on the table, or what was left of them. Explain the claw marks, the feeding patterns. Explain, Chun. His entire chest cavity was emptied while he was still alive. What Japanese weapon does that? The 3rd officer, a captain I didn't recognize, spoke quietly. The report indicates significant trauma consistent with animal attack. The medics noted unusual tissue damage, enzymatic breakdown suggesting digestive fluids. Captain, we're not here to entertain ghost stories. the colonel snapped. With respect, sir, I've read similar reports from this region, dating back decades. British colonial forces in the 1800s, Spanish conquistadors before that, all describing encounters with nocturnal humanoid creatures. The details are remarkably consistent across cultures and centuries. The colonel's jaw tightened. Are you suggesting we include folklore in our official report? I'm suggesting we don't dismiss patterns we don't understand. They argued for 20 minutes while I sat there, numb. Eventually, the official conclusion was determined. My unit had been ambushed by Japanese forces using fear tactics and possibly trained animals. The psychological trauma I experienced was real, but misinterpreted. Combat stress, survivor's guilt, hallucinations brought on by infection. None of it was true, but it was acceptable, explainable, safe. You're being recommended for commendation, Lieutenant, the colonel said as they stood to leave. You survived behind enemy lines for 3 days and made it back alive. That's remarkable. 11 men died, sir. And you're alive to remember them. That matters. They left me alone in the tent. I stared at my bandaged arm, remembering the feeling of those talons sinking into my flesh, remembering the weight of the creature, the smell of it, the intelligence in its eyes. I was discharged 2 months later. Medical separation. The arm never healed properly. Nerve damage, they said. But I knew better. The venom had done something permanent. Sometimes, late at night, I can still feel where those talons entered. A cold, deep ache that no painkiller touches. I tried to warn people. Wrote letters to military intelligence, to researchers, to anyone who might listen. Most never responded. Those who did sent polite dismissals. One anthropologist was interested enough to interview me. She recorded everything, took notes, seemed genuinely intrigued. 6 months later, she died. Hiking accident in the Philippines. Her body was found at the base of a cliff, but the local police report noted unusual lacerations. Her research notes were never recovered. I stopped trying to warn people after that. I'm 73 now. The war ended decades ago. Most of my generation is gone. The jungle I survived has been bulldozed for development. Highways cut through where my unit died. Hotels stand where creatures hunted us. But I know they're still there. They're patient. They adapt. They survive for millennia by staying in the shadows, by being dismissed as myth. Every few years, I see a news report that catches my attention. Hikers vanish in the Philippine mountains. Bodies found with animal attack listed as cause of death. Sometimes the details are too familiar. Hollowed torsos, missing organs, inexplicable terror in the victim's final moments. The authorities always have explanations. Wild dogs, bears, human predators. Anything but the truth, because the truth is unacceptable. The truth means humanity isn't the apex predator. The truth means there are things older, smarter, more patient than us. Things that view us as livestock, as food that learn to make noise. I'm telling you this now because I'm dying. Cancer. 6 months, maybe less. And I need this recorded somewhere. I need someone to know what really happened. What's still happening. If you ever find yourself in the deep jungles of the Philippines, or any old jungle, any dark forest, any place where civilization hasn't fully penetrated, pay attention. Watch for the signs. Abandoned villages with protective symbols. Areas where locals refuse to go. Places that are too quiet. Listen for the clicking. That rhythmic tapping sound that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. If you hear it, leave immediately. Don't wait. Don't investigate. Just run toward the nearest light, the nearest civilization, and don't stop until you're surrounded by people. Don't trust voices in the dark, even if they sound like someone you love. Especially if they sound like someone you love. The creatures know your memories. They can read your longing, your pain, your desperation. They'll use all of it. Stay in groups, never separate. Never wander off alone. The moment you're isolated, you're vulnerable. That's when they strike. And if you see one, if you actually witness what they are, don't try to fight. You can't win. Your bullets might slow them. Your grenades might kill 1 or 2. But there are always more. They've survived extinctions, ice ages, human expansion. They're not afraid of your weapons. Your only chance is dawn. Sunlight doesn't harm them, but they retreat from it. It's instinct. Thousands of years of hunting in darkness makes them cautious. In the light, if you can survive until sunrise, you might make it out. But here's what truly terrifies me. What keeps me awake during my final months? They're spreading. Climate change, deforestation, human conflict. We're pushing into their territories more than ever, disturbing their hunting grounds, forcing them to adapt, to move, to hunt in new areas. And they're adapting. Reports are coming from other countries now. Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, even South America. Different names, chupacabra, mapinguari, night runners, but similar descriptions, similar hunting patterns, similar intelligence. What if they're not isolated populations? What if they're connected? What if there's a global network of these creatures coordinating, sharing information, planning? I sound paranoid. I know I do. That's what they count on. Witnesses like me getting dismissed as crazy, post-traumatic, delusional. But I saw 11 good men die. I felt those talons in my flesh. I looked into those black eyes and saw something that understood exactly what it was doing, something that enjoyed it. So here's my final warning, spoken directly to you. They're real, they're intelligent, they're patient, and they're hunting. You might never encounter them. You might live your entire life safely ignorant of what lurks in the remaining wild places. I hope you do. But if you ever find yourself in a jungle at night, hearing clicks in the darkness, smelling that sweet rot scent, seeing movement in the shadows that doesn't match any animal you know, remember my unit. Remember the men who died screaming in that Philippine jungle. Remember that humanity's confidence in its dominance is just another form of prey animal delusion. And run. Run toward the light. Run toward dawn. Run like your life depends on it. Because it does. My name is Lieutenant James Cordell, USMC, retired. This is my testimony. This is my warning. And this is the truth they don't want you to know. If you found value in this account, if you believe there are things in this world beyond our understanding, share it. Let others know, not to spread fear, but to spread awareness. Because the things that hunted us in 1942 are still out there, and they're still hungry. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on notifications. And never, never go into the jungle alone. The recording ends. In the background, barely audible, there's a sound. Rhythmic, methodical, like fingernails tapping on wood, or talons clicking against bone. It lasts for exactly 3 seconds before silence.